What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. Before we get too much further into this video, some of you are probably wondering why you're back at that angle behind the steering wheel and why I'm not using the car phone holder that I spoke about in recent videos and that I had been using in the last few reviews. And the answer is I should not have bought it off of Amazon, and I went to move it the other day before I filmed the vlog that is coming soon to the channel. And yeah, I ended up it just snapped. I hardly even maneuvered it. I moved it just a slight little bit and it just snapped right off of the other end, and it's completely and utterly broken. So I'm currently going through the whole refund return process right now with Amazon, and I'll be getting another one very shortly, a much better quality one. I guess it was my own fault buying a $15 one on Amazon, thinking that it'd be good. Yeah, it just ended up being really weak, and the sticky little things that it came with to like stick on top of the dashboard ended up not really working too much either. And yeah, it was just a weak product, and it worked really well for when I wanted to film reviews without driving. But when I was driving, it was really rickety, and it just yeah, then it ended up snapping. So it just, you know, it is what it is. So let's get into this review. So in this review today, we're going to be talking about Conversation with the Killer, the Ted Bundy Tapes. So lately I was just really craving a documentary, whether a movie or a documentary series, just something documentary style. I just really wanted to watch a really good documentary. So with all the conversation happening right now around Ted Bundy between the Zac Efron film that's coming to Netflix sometime later this year and this specific documentary, I was really drawn to the topic of Ted Bundy. Now, growing up, I had heard about Ted Bundy. I knew a fair amount about everything that he kind of did, the amount of people he killed, you know, the women that he killed, a super tragic and just insane just time in life, and really crazy to think about how much of this he got away with and how charismatic he was behind it all. I knew a lot about his story and just the tragedy behind all of it and just how sick of a person he was, but I really can't say I had ever watched anything documentary style or really dive too deep into how it all happened. So right out of the gate, I usually don't do this, but I can say I highly recommend this documentary. It is just incredibly well done. It's a docu-series, so it's an actual 4-episode series that's on Netflix. I don't know if this Conversation with a Killer, which is like the actual title and then the subtitle is the Ted Bundy Tapes, I don't know if that'll actually end up being like another series, like they'll end up doing like a sequel series, like, you know, like a season 2 kind of thing, or if it's just, you know, season 1, 4 episodes, that's all it is. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's based on a book which they actually speak about in the documentary. And yeah, I'm not too sure how that all works out, but I'm pretty sure the Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy Tapes, is the name of the book that they made this docu-series on. So yeah, right out of the gate, I just wanted to give my recommendation to go check it out. If you like documentaries, I really think that you'll enjoy this one. The way it's put together, it's very informative, while also being just very eerie and really leaning into the different feelings and emotions you should have when you hear this kind of story. It really is crazy, but at the same time, as far as somebody who loves film, it is incredibly well put together, and probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in recent years. So yeah, guys, this video is going to be fairly short because it's not really something, obviously, where I could talk about performances or cinematography or different things like that, but I definitely wanted to make a video on it because it is a documentary that I found myself really invested in. I got through the 4 episodes with my girlfriend incredibly quickly. There was really nothing holding me back. I really enjoyed how this was put together from beginning to end. It was super informative, like I said, and gripping. The source material was very gripping, you know, and it's so sad and tragic to hear what happened to all those women. I mean, the man killed like over 30 people and got away with it, and you know, molested them and raped them, and it's tragic. It's really sad, and I can't even believe how much he was able to get away with. But it was really crazy to hear how different the world was, and how, you know, a serial killer like Ted Bundy is really the reason that, you know, our law enforcement and you know, investigators and all these kinds of things have really changed over the years. Now, so much has happened between then and now, but the man was able to get away with so much, and to see how little the states communicated. He really wasn't this face that was blown up across the nation. Nowadays, somebody will kill a few people, and you know it's plastered all over the news. It's everywhere. You'll see it online. You'll see it on news broadcasts. Doesn't matter what state you're in. If somebody kills enough people, you're gonna hear about it, and you're gonna know about it from whatever state you're in. It's really crazy to know that this man had done all these different kills. He was arrested in different states, was able to escape from prison twice, or from custody twice, I mean, and was able to get to different states, kill more people, getting arrested in other states. They were holding him without even knowing who he was at the time. He was able to just swindle everybody. It's really crazy. He was able to change his appearance slightly each and every time. The man almost seems like a villain from a movie, you know what I mean? It's just insane watching the documentary and seeing in the footage with him in it just how charismatic he was and how well he really was able to play this character almost of this guy that you're thinking to yourself, there's no way that this guy did it. There's no way that this was the person who got away with all these murders. There's no way that this man was able to be as charismatic and likable as he was, yet at the same time also be this just sick and just demented person that was able to do the nastiest of things and you know what, thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, you know, you hear about a lot of serial killers and the different things inside of them that pulled them to do it, but really just watching this man on camera, especially when he would talk to himself or speak about himself in the third person, I mean, the man really spoke about himself in the third person quite often. One of the elements I found really interesting and just demented and sick was how much he really enjoyed to speak about himself in the third person. One of the main way that the interviewer, who actually, you know, got the tapes that, you know, is obviously in the title, the main way the interviewer was able to really get him to start speaking was he decided to ask him, what would you think, and this is the question you would ask Ted Bundy, you know, what was it that you think anybody who could commit these acts would be like? What would you think would be going through his mind? And the interviewer speaks about it being just so creepy, how Ted Bundy picked up the tape recorder and held it up to his chest almost like a baby, and then just starts speaking about this person and what he feels the person would be thinking, and what the person probably had to have gone through growing up, and what the person would probably be thinking throughout the acts, and this and that and that and this. And knowing that he is the person who did this, and that he was just speaking in the third person in such a creepy and just demented fashion, it's just disgusting. It was just insane to watch. And you know, it's one of those things that's just, it's hard, because watching this documentary, as somebody who loves documentaries and loves film, it's so hard to hate this, because it was so well put together, so eerie, so creepy. It was so entertaining, but at the same time you were just watching this the story of this man unfold that is just the sickest thing of all time. The man was demented, man. He was just beyond fucked up. So yeah, guys, I really don't have too much more to say in this review, other than this man was crazy. And to really get a deep inside look at how law enforcement worked at the time, you know, how the states really didn't communicate, and how this man was able to get away with so much, as well as really pave the way for what would become stronger law enforcement and investigation and state communication. And nowadays, somebody would never be able to get away with this many murders the way that this man did, and get away with it and hide his identity and be able to go to different places and actually have law enforcement not be able to identify who he is. That would never ever happen again, you know what I mean? And just to think that it was only a few decades ago. It was not that long ago in human history. So it really is mind-blowing to see how much this man was able to get away with. I know I've said it a few times now in this review, but the documentary itself puts it together so well in such an entertaining fashion. I couldn't recommend this documentary more, guys. It's on Netflix right now, streaming. Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy Tapes. Go check it out. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this review. Have you seen these tapes? What did you think of Ted Bundy? Were you around when this was all happening? You know, what was your thought process when you were seeing this on the news, if you were? I'm very curious. I want to have this discussion. And for those of you like me who, you know, obviously were born and grew up past the days of Ted Bundy and all of that happening. You know, what did you hear about Ted Bundy growing up, and what is it that you know about his story? It's really crazy, man. It's crazy, and I'm really excited to see this new Zac Efron film. I've heard some things about it. I know the trailer, I've seen it. It kind of leans towards kind of glorifying the man. There's like a rock song playing at one point, and after watching this, yeah, I definitely can't, you know, getting all the information. You know, when you already know that he's a serial killer, you don't even need to know the details to know that anybody who's a serial killer is fucked up. You know what I mean? But like, being able to really hear and know the ins and outs and details of this man's story and how he got away with things, and you know, how these people went missing, and what it was like for these small towns that would have these people go missing. With stuff like this never ever happened before, and now we live really in a sick world today. You know, people are doing all kinds of crazy and worse things, and yeah, guys, it's crazy. So, you know, what did you always hear about the story of Ted Bundy? What always blew your mind about his story and everything that he did? And again, if you had grown up or were around that time, I'm curious, what were your thoughts on the situation when it was happening? Were you afraid? Were you afraid for the women in your life? If you were a young lady at the time, you know, what were you feeling? I'm very curious. So please leave those comments down below. Just comment anything, guys. Obviously, I'd love to have discussions with you guys. I highly recommend the documentary, like I mentioned. I think it's hard to deny how well put together this documentary was. So make sure to hit that like button, guys, if you like this video. You know, comment down below, like I mentioned, and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
I'm not an animal, and I'm not crazy. I'm a split personality. I mean, I'm just a normal individual.